Hey folks, welcome to the Python BoF. I'm pretty sure a bunch of people are going to join us during the BoF. But if you want to join, you can come in the Debian Python IRC channel and ask for a link, and we'll be happy to send you one. So the agenda for today is, at the moment, first of all, maybe a little introduction, introducing ourselves, saying who we are, what are we doing in the Python team, and then maybe talking about the Python 2 deprecation, see how that went, how much work do we still need to do in that. Afterward, I'd be happy to talk about merging the PIPT and the DMPT together. We can talk about this later. And maybe finishing by a little reminder of the Python sprint tomorrow. I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything to the agenda.
Looks fine.
Maybe some sponsorship stuff at the end, but it's low priority. There's time left at the end.
Yeah, and sponsorship requests can also be done tomorrow during the sprint. But yeah.
True.
All right, maybe a little introduction. There's some faces I haven't seen. So hi, I'm Poyo. I haven't been a DD for very long, but I've been volunteering in the Debian in the DebConf video team for a while now. And I've been maintaining a few packages in the Python team, mostly applications.
We should go around the room. Let me speak. So I'm Stefano Rivera. I maintain a bunch of Python libraries and the PyPy interpreter, which fortunately doesn't seem to get too much use in Debian yet. Yeah.
Who's next? Robert, I guess.
Robert is the director for the talk.
Oh, yeah. Doing Zigo next.
Okay, I'm maintaining OpenStack in Debian, which, as you may know, is written in Python. So therefore, I'm in charge of a few hundred Python packages. Next person. Anthony.
Hi, I'm Anthony, and I became a DD in 1997, and I've been involved in Chinese CJK, I18N, and localization, etc. I'm a small contributor to the Python team with just a few packages. I think the most recent one being a timekeeper, which is a parental control program. I think that's it, and thank you. I'm here to learn.
Emmanuel, you're on mute if you're talking.
I think no. Okay. Hello, I am Emmanuel. I'm from Argentina. I work with Python packaging until a few months ago. So, well, I like help in packaging. Yes.
Andre?
Yeah, I'm Andre. I'm in Debian for some years, and I'm mostly maintaining several Python packages in the team, module packages, and I'm usually taking part in various whole team activities like removing Python 2 and similar stuff.
Odex's connection seems a bit bad, so I'll just keep it to me. So my name is Jonathan Carter, also known as High Voltage. I maintain a few Leaf packages in the Python team and also sponsor some packages when there's sponsorship requests now and again.
Do you want to introduce yourselves quickly, and then we're going to move on to the next topic.
Unmute yourself.
Hello. I'm Onyx, talking from Switzerland. Used to maintain a little bit of Python packages, but I just hang out to see what's happening in DebConf, so don't bother me. Don't mind me, actually.
So, hi everybody, I'm Utkarsh, and I became a TD recently, but I've been contributing to the Python team. I've been maintaining a couple of modules, but besides that, I've been mentoring and sponsoring a lot of uploads in the team. I've been trying to make the queue shorter, the RFS queue. So, yeah.
Hector.
Yeah, hello, I'm Hector. I maintain some packages, Python packages, and I'm just around the Python team to see what's going on and if I can help somehow.
And Rebecca now. I guess we should move on.
Okay, yeah, so next topic, the Python 2 deprecation. So I think maybe I'm not the best person to talk about this. Somebody else who's been more involved than me can take the lead on that topic.
Yeah, go ahead. Stefano, you're the man.
I don't know if I am. I haven't been doing.
I think you're better than than any of us in the channel at the moment.
I don't actually know what the current state is. Does anybody?
So the statue is 95 packages remaining in testing and 210 in seed. That's at least what appears on the release team transition page.
I would guess we're getting to the point where we're getting to the Py2 keep packages. I don't know what the long-term plans are there, so this is somewhere where I do have an interest. I kind of need some of these to stick around for a while.
Yeah, I think you said...
The backstory there is PyPy uses CPython to build it. It doesn't have to. It could use PyPy to build it, but then you've got bootstrapping problems. So, yeah, for me, I imagine it will remain a something that's available in the archive, but not something we want users to be using.
So Python 2.7 would stay in the archive, but not be recommended by anything?
Something like that.
What about the Py2 keep packages? Are we going to remove those too?
It's a good question.
Because if we are not removing them, then Python 2 stays and some third-party modules probably too, as I see it.
So one thing I've been asking myself is, when I'm going to upgrade my laptop from Buster to Bullseye, then what is going to happen? Like, probably it's going to keep all the old removed Python 2 dependencies, right?
It should.
So is there something we can do about it?
Why?
Just because, like, we don't support them anymore, and it's going to stay on people's computers even if we don't support them.
That is the same. That's not a unique problem to us. That applies to any package.
Yeah.
The archive.
Yeah. I think the release notes usually have the section about already removed packages, but I'm usually not upgrading distros, so not sure what's the current practice.
Yeah, I'm not sure that forcibly removing Python 2 packages from people's computer when they upgrade is a good idea.
Right.
Maybe-
So let's say I'm aware of the problem and I want to remove them. Maybe it's going to be very annoying to list them. How about we do a package that would, I don't know, conflict or whatever, so that just it would remove all the stuff if I want to.
If you remove Python 2.7, it just removes everything that depends on it. So you shouldn't have any problem.
Yeah,
I did that on my SID desktop like 2 days ago, and a bunch of Python 2 libraries got removed, and everything still works.
But then you have the problem if Python 2.7 stays in the archive, and I wonder if moving to bootstrapping PyPy wouldn't be better, because then you can actually remove Python 2.7 and only have PyPy rely on PyPy. So you move from the problem of having Python 2.7 to having to bootstrap PyPy, but maybe that's better.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, it's not a huge problem to do that. It makes some things a bit slower, but that's fine.
Slow for you as a person or slow for machines?
Slow for machines. I mean, it's also a little more work as a maintainer if you've got to manually bootstrap things. So what we're doing there is PyPy. We build PyPy with PyPy on architectures that have JIT, and we use CPython on architectures that don't. But on all of the architectures where it's buildable, you can use it, even if it's really slow. PyPy 3 itself still requires a Python 2 interpreter to build, which is why I need to keep PyPy around. There is some slow process. People are starting to talk about it upstream, but there isn't actually any progress yet. But maybe at some point in the future, that won't be necessary anymore.
One thing is certain is that if Python 2.7 stays in the archive, we need to be clear that there's no security support for it and people shouldn't be downloading it and using it.
And it probably shouldn't make it into stable releases. Although, yeah, I'm sure there'd be users that would appreciate it if it did.
Well, but then you have to talk to the security team.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you're shipping Python 2, I think people are going to use it because they don't really want to move from Python 2 to Python 3. They want the Python 2 support, so it'll be like nice if we don't ship Python 2 at all in the first place.
Yeah, at some point, just removing it and having all the sky break loose might be the best option.
I guess it all comes to Stefano. If you're okay with having to bootstrap PyPy from itself, I also feel that removing Python 2.7 from the archive would be a good idea.
We can make a plan. Look, that plan might be there's a Python 2.7 source package or something in the archive that it can build a 2.7 from C during the build, and there are options. I'm not just depending on the interpreter. I'm also trying to keep a virtual env stack alive so that you can, because we don't have any Py2 modules in the archive anymore. We did a big removal there. So it's only really useful to you as a user if you have working virtual env and pip. So that's a couple of packages. It's virtual env and it's all the pip wheels. And they're getting more and more difficult to keep working on 2.7 because upstream is moving forward.
I think that's kind of it for the Python 2 lubrication topic. I don't know if anybody else wants to contribute anything before we move on to the next one. All right, so the next one, that one was created by me, and it's about merging the Python application team and the Debian Python modules team together. I've been talking about this on the Python list for a while now. I think I started discussing it in November 2019. I find the divide between the two teams very artificial because we're basically doing the same thing, using the same policy, but at the moment we're having twice the documentation. People have to ask twice to have to be part of the different Salsa groups, and I feel it's a lot of work for basically nothing. The Python application team's policies and documentation is lacking behind because nobody keeps it up to date with the libraries one. So I just don't understand why there's two team and not one, and why we shouldn't merge them.
Yeah, personally, I think it'd be nice if we can merge them because of exactly the same reasons you mentioned. There are like lots of duplicate requests and stuff, and we can get rid of them. And it's also a bit more manual work. So I think it'd be nice, very nice, if we can merge these two together.
We will keep the same path for applications, right? I mean, the plan is not to move around the Git repositories and change the URLs and whatever, right?
Yeah. We don't want to do that, but maybe we can just merge them in a way that you don't need to ask for request in like twice, right? And maybe some of the documentation differs from the two teams, so maybe we can just keep it united and under the same place. So it's like at the same place for both the teams.
Yeah, so merge the team, merge the documentation, keep the sub-projects on Salsa separate as they are. I guess that's a summary.
We could also merge the sub-projects on Salsa too. Salsa takes care of redirecting everything by itself, and I'm not sure I see the point of having these two.
It will break deb checkout for people who want to use that on existing packages.
Right. VCS fields would go crazy, and there'll be like lots of offenses there. You can see on tracker. So either we do a mass commit, doing that changes in the VCS field, and then merge. Probably that's a good idea. Or maybe find an alternative or something.
So I believe if we decide to move packages from the URLs of packages, it won't be a problem for deb checkout because Salsa is made in order so that it doesn't break. I don't know, there's redirections or whatever.
There's automated redirections, yes.
Do they work for Git checkouts as well? Or just browsers?
They work for Git checkouts too, and then when you're cloning a repository, there's a little snippet in the Git message that appears saying, oh, this URL has changed, don't forget to change your things on your local configuration, blah, 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 blah.
Cool. But are we talking about breaking deb checkouts for people in stable? Because I would recommend to just go, to do the mass change in sync from the packaging and on Salsa.
There's a bunch of packages in stable that still point at aliof. Yeah. Well, I guess
don't do deb checkout from stable with the message.
I cannot clone if the package is moved to another place. I cannot clone it with the same URL. It shows me that the namespace you're looking for cannot be found. That is a fatal error. Could not read the remote repository. So maybe someone.
I think that depends on how long the package has been. How much time has it been since the package has been moved? I think the redirection only works for a definite amount of time. So if it's in,
Well, the package that I'm trying on is not more than 2 days old. So.
Well, anyway, I don't think it's really important. The question of the paths, we can work on that later. But mostly, I've been pushing for it for a while, and it's mostly been not moving because none of the admins actually have decided that they were interested in this topic at all. And I think it's been affecting a bunch of people, so I don't know how to move forward. I've created a new team on Tracker for us to move to, the Python team, because at the moment there's 2 teams on Tracker.debian.org. But I'd be interested in knowing how we can move forward on this issue.
What does Doco think about it, and Piotr? Did you talk to them?
So this isn't a Doco thing, really. This is the teams have admins. Piotr is definitely an important part of that. Didier, you're another admin here. You're keeping quiet.
Very quiet.
Am I? Didn't know I was an admin of this, but yeah. I mean, for what my admin rights are concerned, if you ask me to do something that the team agrees on, I won't stand in the way. So don't take this as a blocker.
Andres has agreed to it too.
Yeah. I would say the thing that stopped this from happening is that the admins haven't got together and tried to have a conversation about it. The admins have been very reactive rather than proactive. I know there are people in the team who don't like the proposal, but they aren't here today.
Well, it needs a plan and someone driving the plan with dates through to conclusion. And yeah, we cannot decide now, but we can agree to have a plan move forward.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
perhaps
created an issue on Salsa a while ago, documented every steps we need to take and what's blocking. I did a bunch of work. I created a merge request to change the policies and update the documentation. And all that's needed now is actually somebody deciding that we're actually doing this and like commenting.
I would say you have agreement from the people here. If we consider that to be quorum, then we do it.
I think it's better suited. I mean, this discussion is better suited for a mailing list, and maybe we can move on with the other part.
Yeah, I agree. You should take this to the mailing list and get bigger agreement than this meeting.
And Pio, I think at one point you have to say if there's no objections, you just go ahead with it, because otherwise, if you just wait forever, it will just go nowhere.
Yeah, that could work because we discussed this in the BoF and we're going to take these actions. If no one has any complaint, then we'll move forward at this date. It should be fine.
Great. So I'll send him another mailing link. I sent another message on the mailing list. I've done it before, but I can set up an arbitrary date saying if nobody objects, we can go forward. But I don't have any power to do it, so I cannot commit anything because I'm not in the mid. But I will. And what I hear from this BoF is that nobody strongly disagrees about this, and a bunch of people kind of agree.
Well, you need the buy-in from some admin then.
We do. We have Didier.
Well, will he be willing to do it?
Yeah, he said he's willing to do anything we want as long as we agree.
He disappear and then until next year.
What am I admin?
Sorry, Didi?
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be admin of.
Of
Python. Did I misremember and incorrectly blame you for that? Sorry, I thought you were one of the admins. I forget who the team is.
Onovi is admin?
Yes. And Scott and Piotr. Yeah.
Scott and Piotr.
I see at least Stefano on the Debian Python Team PAPT.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you into that.
Just
As
make a Stefano an admin.
I am an
as
admin.
far as
Okay.
yeah,
I'm like a baby admin though. I got access relatively recently compared to the others who've been doing this forever.
you're admin of the two groups. I think only Piotr and one other person are admin of the global Python team
Scott.
group thing. And Scott, yeah. But the thing I was trying to do now is make Stefano admin, but you're already admin and I'm not, so it's fine.
All right, great. So we can move on to the other topic, which is any other business. And the first point is outstanding bugs in the DH Python. I think, Stefano, would you put that in the agenda?
Doco asked me if I could put that in, but Piotr isn't here, and I think he was trying to prod Piotr, so no point there. I want to go back to PAPT and DPMT for a moment. There are some policy differences between the two, and if we merge, we probably have to deal with them. The PAPT uses dep10 branches everywhere where DPMT doesn't. That's a bigger change for consumers than URLs, probably, or maybe equal level. Would you want to push through on normalizing branch scheme?
I thought it was the case from the DPMT too.
DPMT tends to use master. PAPT tends to use Debian/master. At least, we did the bulk import of DPMT first, and it was imported as master.
But then I think Scott raised the question on the mailing list, and he wanted somebody to go through the old ones that hadn't been moved to Debian/master in the libraries team and actually do it. I think if you read the policy, it actually tells you to use the Debian/master thing.
So we should be pushing through on all of them then.
Yeah. But I think it just makes sense to have one common policy. I think this is the whole point of this thing, not to have different ways of doing Python packages.
Yeah, precisely. If I do a package from DPMT, I'm doing something else. If I'm doing a package from PAPT, I'm doing something else, and it's a bit confusing. So I say yes, I agree that merging, I think, would be a great idea, really.
I think there is going to be, you wanted to leave this topic. I think there is going to be pushback on the list. And I don't know how you want to deal with that beyond saying we agreed in the BoF that we want to do this.
From what I heard, the only person who wasn't stoked on it was Scott. I think Scott didn't think it was a good idea, but didn't give anything and just didn't reply a lot. So I don't know.
Okay, so one just does it anyway then. Should we move on?
So the plan for Python 3.9, if I remember well, what Doco wrote about is to have it uploaded just before the freeze, right? Am I the only one reading the mailing list?
I remember reading something along those lines somewhere. I can't remember if it was an RC or on a mailing list, but also my memory is unreliable the last while, so maybe.
What's a mailing list again?
So do you mind to remind me when is the freeze again? Is it by the end of the year?
beginning of next year. And so if I remember now, I think I remember a bit clearer. He said he would upload 3.9 to SID. Then we would have 2 interpreter for up to November, end of November, beginning of December. And then we decide if it's reasonable to keep Python 3.9 or Python, or we stay on 3.8. So that was the plan he'd drawn, but I don't think we can know in advance what's going to happen. Like, is it going to break the world? And I think that he wanted to address that.
Right.
And I think the idea was to upload 3.9 as soon as possible to be able to give us time to see what happens to the archive with 3.9 and see if we can actually use it as a default for the next release.
Which makes sense, because anyway, if we hit bugs, we need to fix them, whatever happens. So
we already have Python 3.9. I don't know if someone has done some testing. I mean, we have like a release candidate one.
Doco usually does some rebuild testing with it. I don't remember him mentioning anything about it though.
Maybe he's waiting for the release in September, and then he'll do the rebuild. But I don't know if he needs help or he wants to do it on his own.
Yeah, I can't see anything.
yeah. So about that email address for maintainer on the pad. So did we even talk about it on the mailing list?
I think it was mostly the merge request I created for the merge between the PAPT and the DMPT. I think it just makes sense to move on to the tracker, the Python Team tracker.org email, since Alias doesn't exist anymore anyway, and we're going to need something new that isn't either the PAPT or the DMPT. Again, I'll be summarizing that in the email I sent to the mailing list to try to rekindle the merge discussion.
I used to follow those lists, but they got so noisy and spammy that I stopped paying any attention to them. I assume that's most people.
Yes, I have the same experience with some packages on the OpenStack team, and like this, like 99% is spam.
Yeah.
I think Scott actually follows them because sometimes he replies and tells people they've forgotten to push a git tag or that kind of stuff. So. Well, I think that's it for the any other business topic. I don't know if anybody else wanted to talk about any other business before we move on to the reminder of the Python sprint and we close the session.
Yes. So, is there anything planned for that sprint? In fact,
not really. I think the idea for the sprint is mainly to have a common moment where we can work on stuff and to have a moment too where we can sponsor requests. Maybe I think there's a bunch of looking at the IRC topic. There's a bunch of requests that needs to be sponsored. So it could be just a common moment to be working on a thing. Maybe have a look more closely at the Python keep packages. See what's the deal with that.
And I wanted to talk about some processes around sponsoring, but you said we'll do that in the sprint then.
We've got time now.
Oh, if you want to talk about processes for the sponsoring, we can do it now. I thought you wanted to take some time to actually do sponsors.
No, that would be silly.
Go ahead. We can talk about that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes when I try to sponsor something from the topic, I noticed it's already been uploaded when I try to upload it. And then I find out that it was added to the topic because it was an RFS from another source, and the person who wanted it sponsored isn't necessarily even on RSC. So no one removes it again from RSC once it is uploaded. And that causes some extra work and sometimes confusion. And I think we need some better way to handle that, or some better rules that if you want something added to the topic, you should at least be willing to remove it when it's uploaded, or be available in the channel to answer some questions whenever needed.
One of the issues I've seen is sometimes there's so many requests that the topic length is not long enough. So I don't know if we should actually try to be moving from using the RSC topic for that. Maybe RSC is not the most familiar space for most people to be trying to come into the team and request sponsoring. I know we've been trying to use the wiki for a while, and there's been like the wiki, the mailing list, and the IRC where people can ask for sponsorship. Maybe it would be a good idea to have only one common place where you can keep an eye on.
That's true, although the topic is very convenient because it's kind of always easy to access and always there. And we'll gain some space in the topic space because the teams will merge, and then there's extra 8 bytes or so. I think what I'll do tomorrow as part of the sprint is just try to write up some guidelines then for what happens when you want to put your package in the RSC topic, and then we can take it from there.
I think it should be part of policy, maybe. People need to read policy anyway and agree to it. And as we've agreed on earlier in 2019, if you want to propose a change to the policy, what you can do is bring the topic on the mailing list and then submit a merge request on the policy documentation on Salsa. And if nobody disagrees in 10 days, then the admins merge it.
Yep, that sounds good. Yeah, let's make it part of policy there. Yeah, that's all I had then for any other business.
Well, there's a sprint tomorrow. If you want to drop in and you have some time to work on updating your packages or working in the Python keep ones and see if we could remove them. Maybe work on policy or whatever sponsoring requests. So have a look at the sprint wiki that I wrote a draft on, and if possible, keep a track of what you've done during the sprint in the Etherpad so we can have a sprint report. Sprint reports are always cool to see what teams are alive and do work. But I think that's about it. If nobody else wants to bring any topic, I think we could close now. Great. Well, thanks for coming and joining the BoF. It was nice, and do all the Python things.